Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Dominique Robinson, and I'm the founder of PizArt's Global Dance Hub. In April 2020, we were supposed to premiere the show, Read Between the Lines, at Alvin Ailey City Group Theater. Due to COVID, we were unable to do so. Thanks to Zoe Rappaport, our creative director, she collaborated with the 6 artists and decided that we were going to do this in quarantine at home and create a dance film out of it, with the hopes that in April of 2021, we will be able to show this in New York City live. I want to give a special thanks to all of the artists, Daryl Freedom Dunn, Linda Mason, Damani Pompey, Martina Android Hyman, Dolly Sphere, and Zoe Rappaport. I also want to give a special thanks to Nick Green, who's the director of the Social Distancing Festival platform, and a special thanks for helping us live stream this evening. I also want to give a thanks to everyone who supported us and donated to the cause, as this helps us help artists continue to create even in times of great challenge. Now we're going to go on to the talk back portion of this, and this will be hosted by Libby Milson. Libby Milson is a New York-based performance poet and outstanding educator whose poetry would have been part of the show. Tonight, we have invited her to facilitate this conversation amongst the artists during this critical time and share their process with you.
All right, is that me?
Yes, it is. Hey, Linda.
Hey everybody. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for having me, and congratulations to all of the artists and to the production team that made these works of art possible and made it possible for us to come together and watch them. It really is a gift to be able to hear from artists about their process, especially like when their work is really fresh in our bodies. So I hope everyone is feeling comfortable and settling in and getting ready for this talk back. So the first thing I wanted to ask was just to start by turning it over to Zoe and having her kind of give us a little bit of background on how all of this came to be. So Zoe was the creative director of Read Between the Lines and co-producer, and at Ailey she would have premiered a new work. So Zoe, I'm going to turn it over to you just to tell us a little bit about how you all pivoted during COVID and found a way to connect all of your works, especially like through the red theme.
Sure. Thanks, Lib. I just got a note from my mom that said, can we all mute those who aren't speaking? Thanks, Mom. Yeah, so thanks everyone for being here and tuning in, and thanks to all the artists again for being down for the pivot. So yeah, Dom sort of said a bit about it. You know, we had intended to do a live immersive show at the Ailey Theater in New York. These 5 artists were selected amongst hundreds of applicants' submissions by our panel to present their amazing work. And this red theme really emerged out of each person's work. So it wasn't a predetermined type of thing. Dolly had red balloons in her piece, and Damani Freedom was gonna have red lighting, and Damani had red costumes, and Linda had red paint, and Martina was gonna perform in my piece, which was gonna be a red shoes, sort of a red shoes rendition with her flexing ballet. So it just kind of was there. It came out organically, and there were just a lot of overlaps and connecting points between all of these artists, which is why, they were selected, and so yeah, so we, you know, we couldn't do the show, but that doesn't mean we have to stop being creative. And I propose that we all do this, you know, a 1-minute piece in our homes in the height of the lockdown, and everybody was down, which was awesome. And we went to work, and everyone, you know, we just kind of ran with this theme of red. And I think it kind of spoke to the times that we're still in, of just, you know, red being the color of like alarm and emergency, as well as passion and power. So they all, you know, came through and delivered, and that's how we're here.
Cool. Thank you, Zoe. Yeah, I have watched these films many times, because initially there was going to be that we were playing around with the idea that I would collaborate with some poetry, and we ended up deciding to reserve that for a later date. But I did get the privilege to watch these films many times, kind of throughout the compilation process. So one of the things that I really appreciate is just like the very different energies that each of them brings. And Freedom, in your work, there's this kind of like sense of like science fiction, and it feels very cosmic, like this really big picture contemplation, and a sense of being tuned in, like in the interterrestrial sense, or like a real sense of being tuned in like spiritually. I was really moved by that when I first watched your piece. Linda, and yours, I felt this real sense of experimentation and like reinvention through these like super broad brushstrokes, and a sense of just letting go of what's normal. And it was really interesting, your choice of audio in the background. Like there was that group of men that were chatting, and it sounds like in the beginning, one of them says like, oh, it would be interesting if everyone stayed home for a month. And it sounded like that might've been filmed pre-coronavirus. So I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about that. Dolly, yours just had this like circusy and like playful and quirky feeling to it, and kind of like that old school like comedy quality. And it was just really interesting how you played with multiple versions of yourself in the same frame. Damani, this feeling of like restlessness and claustrophobia, and trying to break out of like a small and compact space, and searching for a release or catharsis, or almost like trying to break out of the confines of the body. I really felt that in me when I was watching it. And then what a contrast then going to Martina's film, like super sensual, imaginative, like a fantasy world. Felt like, you know, almost like you were playing dress up, and it was so intimate, Martina, the way that you would like look into the camera, and it felt almost like selfie style, which made it feel really personal and fun, kind of like a home video being filmed, but with this like really gorgeous movement. And then Zoe, just so much like creative energy and emotion and passion. And it looked like you were surrounded by like an artist studio, but also this feeling of like grasping for something and maybe not quite being content. So those were kind of like my initial impressions, and just kind of like phrases that came to me as I was watching. But rather than listen to me, I would love to hear everybody just be able to talk about their own piece, and what inspired you, maybe perhaps a message that you were trying to communicate through the piece, or something that you were exploring with the piece. And then also anything you want to share about the process of filming. So we'll just move in the order that the films appeared. So I'll pass it off to Freedom.
Well, mine was kind of, if I'm honest, because of the coronavirus season, I was sick at the time actually when I shot that film. I didn't know whether or not I even had the virus. I got sick twice. So one time in February, and right once the quarantine hit, I got sick again. And I had 104-degree fever and all. It was wild. And I couldn't go get a test because that was back when they didn't have the test. So I was like literally sitting down. Sometimes I can be a worry wart. So I literally like, this is it. This is the end for me. No one wants to help me. But that kind of gave a piece of Johan Johansson is a composer who died in 2018. And I've just been mesmerized with his work. A lot of my dancing has to deal with a specific type of composer and cinematic music. And I love Icelandic composers, and Johan Johansson inspired me. He had one film that he directed called The Last and First Men. And this film, I mean, he's done film scores for Hollywood films and all that. But there's one specific film that he hasn't released, and they finally released it. I've been waiting for like the EP to drop, and it was for this film called Last and First Men, off of a book that was very apocalyptic. And so I saw this cross reference between what I was feeling at the time and this film with Last and First Men. And honestly, it's kind of like this crux between everything. I had everything in life going for me in one point, and then the coronavirus hit at one point, and then a lot of things that I wanted to do got canceled at one point, and then also this solitude, it hit me at the same point, so where all I could do was sit and explain how I felt. And that was the excerpt from the film. And actually half of the score actually is from me as well, because I compose music as well. So I combined me and Johan's feeling. So from him dying and to me kind of feeling like I'm gonna die, but there was a new birth that happened of just me sitting and being in that. And Tilda Swinton did the narrative for his film. And so it was only fitting to put all of three of us together into one. But that's like mine in a nutshell.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See, it is really like such a gift to be able to talk to artists about what they make, because like now my experience of seeing your film is like that much richer just to know the backstory. So we can just keep I don't even need to butt in between every people. We can just keep it moving. So I will pass it on to Linda.
Okay. Hi. That it was very interesting, Freedom, and it was interesting to know, you know, the state, because it you couldn't tell. It looked very peaceful, and I was trying to think of the state I was in, and I was obviously a little mad at having the lockdown. I think that probably came through. And I was also looking upon it as, you know, because I'd been working on the piece for Ailey, you know, that Zoe had asked me to do. At the same time, I used it a little bit as an experiment for that, putting the, and I looked back in the recordings that I'd been making of the men talking that, you know, that I wanted to sort of replicate in the piece that I was going to be doing. And I came across this piece that said something about, you know, you know, if you stayed, what wouldn't really matter if you stay in for a month, it would be a reset. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can't remember exactly when I recorded it. I think it was one of the later ones. So I thought I had to use that. And so it was good to be able to, you know, it's, and then also I had been trying to figure out how to incorporate the painting, you know, the body painting, the freestyle body painting into that piece too. How to make it sort of a part of the motion, not just have people go on, be body painted, but how to have it part of the motion as well. So it was a good experiment for me to be able to, you know, to be able to experiment with my own painting on me and get some of that annoyance out of me. I guess that's it. Yeah.
Dolly.
Hello. Yeah, not too much more to add to that. Yeah, it was a very dark time. I think I think darkness can be comical if you look at it in a different way, or actually in the same way. Yeah, I needed lightness. I needed something that was, yeah, the comical side of delusion of what happens when you get to that darkness, and just, the personalities that you create to talk to someone. Yeah, I love comedy. I love theatricality. And that was basically it. I wanted to work with dancers and I couldn't, so try to make 3 of myself, and yeah, that's it.
Hey, I guess it's my turn. Hello? Can you hear me? Cool. Let's see. I guess when I first made that film, I was preparing for a larger project, a personal project of mine, where I was kind of feeling a bout of energy rolling already, and this was before coronavirus and not too far off from it. And I was just at a place where it was like, off of the new year, and my Saturn's return is about to end, and I just wanted to be liberated and be independent and not wait for opportunity, and also prepare for other opportunities. So this whole idea of my project was about duality and the presentation of self. But specifically for our live show, I was going to collaborate with projection mapping artists for the immersive element, and then do the lighting myself. And I was approaching it at that point from a very, very heady standpoint. But once coronavirus hit, I think I was already anticipating the thing I was working away from, which was emotion. And for me, once we had to switch over from live to film, I also had at the time in that liberation, or in that focus on independence, wanted to release the desire to perform and just really focus on creating and working with others. And so, yeah, so the film was about being in a confined space. I thought it was funny by the time I submitted it, because I was actually enjoying relaxing and not going anywhere for the first month and a half. It was actually really fun. It was really fun to gain some weight. It was really fun to walk around, find purpose in the little things, as opposed to like just hustling and hustling and hustling. And then in between fitting my art and just like really just focusing on that. And I think, it was just about who, we had time to sit and find the things we hate and love and the things we wanted to release. And it was like, what did that look like? And I kind of found myself, my new self emerging, but like my old self clinging. And as much as I wanted, I think I did need the break to break out of that, to break out of the hold on me. So I think that just, that clip really represents a lot that was happening past, present, and future. And I'm currently still developing more of that, and I'm making more work out of that. I've been rehearsing in my living room with my roommate, who's my best friend, and my dancer. And just like, keep going and seeing the better things, so that we can all move forward and have a more meaningful tomorrow, and just keep loving around, and the power of red, whatever that means to you. And that's all.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes. my piece was supposed to be about the red shoes with the dancing, and the plan was to experiment with one sneaker and one point shoe. So when it came to from live performance to the screen, it was a total different challenge, because not only I didn't have the space no more to move full out like contemporary or any leaps or fall on the floors. Now I had also like a limited space, and this space you couldn't even shoot from a total in the front or from above. So it was a challenge from every direction coming. So I was having I was having only one red dress in my closet, and that is what you saw. And what it made to me was I got this split personality of going sensual sometimes, but then also this beast that was still in me, of going into the flexing and into the bone breaking, and these two parts that come out of you, and then on the same time fighting with the restriction of the corona, when you're like, okay, are we getting back to normal or are we not getting back to normal? And I shot it the first time, and I actually had as well another person with me speaking in the mirror. So I split myself in the mirror, and it was a funny footage, but it wasn't really what I was feeling. So I went back and reshot it again, like 2 days later, and confronted it again. And another challenge for me was to just face yourself and be like, okay, what did you do? What did you perform? Because when you freestyle and improvisation on a big stage, it is a moment you see. But video is like a repetitive of looking at the footage. Did you get it from the right angle? Does it look good from there? Is it what you feel? Is it what you want to show? Or do you don't even think that's you? So because sometimes I see moments I'm like, this is me. Oh my God, could have somebody tell me I move like this? So I had to just be confronted with all my sides, from my closet to me to my place, my space. Yeah. Confrontation.
Word, yes. To everybody. Yeah, so I was not, I mean, in the live show, I wasn't going to be dancing. Martina was going to perform my piece. But since we could not be together, and I presented this, proposed this, like, let's all just film ourselves 1 minute, just 1 minute, in our homes. I figured that I should probably do it too, like if I'm asking everybody else to do this. So just to see, what what it was gonna be like. So my process, I just started, mine was like a total experiment, and I just started by gathering every single red thing that I have in my house into a corner of my apartment. And I just was like, I'm gonna make my own set with like red Sharpies and red, paints and red suitcases. And I have red chairs. I realized I have like a lot of red things, even though red's not really a color that I was ever really that into until now. But yeah, I just gathered all of these things, and then, some things are really meaningful. I have like red ballet shoes. So I just started gathering them all, and every day I would like play with the things and move things around. And yeah, for me, like, dance is a visual art. For me, I think it is a visual art. We don't talk about it like that, but it's this whole feeling of, the feeling and the movement of what we see. And so yeah, just the whole space, and then thinking about how I wanted to shoot it and how to capture all of that. And luckily I had a friend who was quarantined with me by accident for a few months. So they were able to shoot it. And yeah, mine was a freestyle too. I didn't really know exactly what I was gonna do. I knew I wanted to use this song that probably would have used in the live show. And yeah, other than that, I was like, I'm just gonna try this out before I, you know, can't expect everybody else to do this if I don't try it. So, but yeah, like what Martina just said of just like you do something, you don't when you're freestyling and then you're like looking at it like, what is this and what is the story here? And I'd also was like watching like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, so like kind of like that top down shot was, you know, reminiscent of that. And yeah, just feeling confined, feeling passionate but stuck, and kind of what do we do? What do we do, and how do we keep moving? So yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, it's interesting. As you all were talking, it reminds me of I don't know if any of you have heard this term exquisite pressure, but sometimes in writing, like, because I teach poetry and creative writing, sometimes we'll say that about having just like 20 minutes to make something. Like we have this exquisite pressure that sometimes we can actually really surprise ourselves with what comes out. And when you all were sharing it, it reminded me of that term, but kind of like exquisite limitation. Like how many amazing art forms have come out of limitations, right? And like not having limitless possibilities. So I think that's something that I felt like I heard from all of you in different ways. We got a question come in. Hi, Georgia. So actually that's funny because Georgia's question is very similar to the next question that I was going to ask. So Georgia's question was, how has quarantine changed your approach to art and to your practice? And that was really similar to like how I was even going to phrase it, just like what have you had to modify in your practice? And I think that we can also kind of combine that with the question of like what have you had to modify and what kinds of projects are you working on now? And that can just be a way for us to get tuned in to what else is happening within this group, and also just to hear some inspiration on like the ways that artists are still creating during this time. And I also just want to plug, because as I was writing this question, I realized like my creativity this year has actually been really low. And so I just wanted to plug that it's also okay if like, you know, you don't have a big project happening or, you know, this time has actually like made you put your work on pause. So, you know, any and all reactions are welcome and are valuable for us to hear about. And one of the things I just wanted to also mention before we jump into the next round of responses is Zoe and I were talking too about this sense of like multiple pandemics and this idea that like 2020 has been this year of COVID, but there's also been, you know, this tons of instances of police brutality that have made it into mass media, and this invigoration around the movement for Black lives, this super intense election season, these wildfires. I mean, it's just, there's just a lot on top of a lot. So feel free to respond also to like, how have any of those things as well worked their way into your creativity or how you're using your artistry right now. So I will pass it off again. And I think it's just easiest if we just like go around again in the order that we did, unless anyone objects and wants to just jump in, that's okay too. But I'll pass it off to Freedom if that works.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'll be quick. I would just say that during this time, it really let me understand that, or it made me ask the question, Freedom, would you dance? Would you perform? Would you put on a show without a stage? And so that's been something that's really been, there's a performance that I want to do at the Sepulveda Dam, and I have 4 that I'm thinking about to do in LA. And the only thing that sucks with the outside is the weather, because it's like smoke everywhere in LA, and there's like the heat was like 108. So I'm like, dang, to have dancers out there in 108 degrees. So the only really the stipulation that I see is the weathering, right? The weathering is what makes the outside that much more. But it's like I've been born again. Like my creativity's been put, you know how you, when you're given rules on a wall, then now you have to create within that set of rules, and then you break at whim. So yeah, that's my thought on that. As far as creativity, I've just been doing things that been not caring as much. Let's just say that, and just doing things that come.
Go for it, Linda.
Oh yeah. Oh, the born again thing. I didn't realize we were all going to answer the same thing. I feel like I've been born again too. With my creativity, I started to paint a lot more. Because I'm mainly a visual artist, and I've started to paint things that I wouldn't normally have painted. It's a little bit more political. It's about the present, that have been inspired by the present situation. And I've started to do a lot more research than I would be prone to do before. Before I would work with what I knew, and it wasn't that I wouldn't go forward and learn new things, but I've, because I guess I've had more time. So I felt like I'm always somebody who's had things to do and been busy and been doing this and that. And I have had more time to, research and study other things, and that have, affected what I want to do in my work. And the painting, I started painting, I've been doing a lot of mixed media, and, I didn't have sort of access to a lot of the things I would use in the mixed media. So I started painting, and I'm really happy painting in a different way to what I normally do. Very, very different. So it's been a rebirth for me too. Yeah.
Yes, to everything that's being said. What a whirlwind. Yeah, I went through, I don't even, yeah, what is going on right now in the world? I went through a lot of different phases. In the beginning, it was like I had just finished a residency, so I was already in that phase that I was like angry at dance after I finished something. I'm like, oh, don't talk to me about it. I don't want to do it. So it was great. I was like, oh, great, no emails, nothing. I'm just gonna sit down. I was meditating so much. I was just unlearning instead of relearning, and questioning a lot of big definitions I have about everything. What is accomplishment? What is productivity? What is creativity? What is making art? Really huge things. Yeah, and then it started kicking again. The like, oh, I need to create. I need to do something. But it was as simple as watching birds or chipmunks around for hours, or filming them on my phone for hours, or I had to do something. So I was just like, it's really fun, by the way. You should totally film animals. They're so unpredictable as characters. So you kind of just have to be there really truly in the moment and just wait. And there's something really beautiful about that. I started getting antsy at some point. So I started just finding other creative outlets. I read a lot, I wrote a lot. I started creating this creative methodology kind of with a few of my dancers, kind of developing a practice to be of creativity. I've never actually practiced creativity, and I totally think it's a muscle. And then for current projects, I'm working on a few films. One with a production company, and one that it's on my own. I had a couple of friends up here last week that are incredibly beautiful dancers, and I got to create for a week for the first time in a very long time, and that was really special and amazing. Just taking it one day at a time. I don't know.
Hey y'all. So pretty much the same thing everyone is saying, which is fantastic. It's lovely to hear that we are vibrating next to each other, even though we're apart and we know each other in faces, but not really by character. But I don't think that matters at this point. But anyway, congratulations everyone who has spoken so far. That's fantastic. Personally, I think I've been really focused on the in-between details of like introvert energy as opposed to like the form, just like really listening to all the things that the planet and the moving bodies have to offer in the streets, and just using that energy to create on my own terms and to collaborate with others, and just like always have a fine balance of like an acknowledgement of what's happening in the real world versus the worlds we want to make and the worlds we want to operate in, just like always playing that game and not even a game, always having those conversations first. And then also practicing just being honest and true for whatever moment, for whatever topic, for whatever space has been big for me. And yeah, so I have been dealing with film as well. You know, I've been doing multiple small projects like on my own and with friends, and you know, and it's really nice to like be able to work in a way where like money isn't the actual main concern. The main concern is finding a way, and I think that's where it all starts. So yeah, so it's like I'm doing that. I actually just had a show last weekend upstate. So surprised I didn't see you, Dolly. I know, I should have called you. And you know, that duet was actually what I made there for that space was actually supposed to be for the show. But I'm happy that I didn't make it for the show because I felt like because of that heady space, looking back, if we had done this show before COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement, I would have felt like I had to do something grander or, I don't know, more meaningful. And, you know, this opportunity kind of was universal in a way that it's like, it checked me in terms of like my growth and like acknowledged my growth and my patience and just like making art that isn't like, for the sake of satisfaction, is just for the sake of thought-provoking work and challenge, no matter who's in the audience or what the audience looks like, you know, just really putting your honesty on stage and then like being honest in the space. So that's that. And I am, you know, film stuff. I'm starting to write more and trying to like really take from all the disciplines and the knowledge that I've been around and just like incorporating them with a movement focus and like just moving forward that way. And that's where I'm at.
Yes. Well, I was lucky. I actually performed in the beginning of the year, and I traveled in January and February. I went to New Zealand and performed there and had a own vacation for 1 week, just a week before Corona hit. So I was like quite energized. And then what definitely changed for me was no auditions no more. So there was no castings, no auditions, nowhere to go, nothing to submit to. So in the first time, everybody was like, oh, it's just like a couple of weeks, like a month or so. And you're like, okay, I can live off my savings to that. But then, well, the savings are going back and going slower. And I started to consider maybe moving home and not knowing if I should move home to my parents or not. So then the Black Lives Matter hit, and then the fire hit, and it kept on coming back to my mind, like maybe I shouldn't stay here. And then the earthquake as well. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the worst place to be if you don't have no income. Why am I in America when I don't have no income and I can't pursue my dance career? And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I only looked at America with my dance career. What about just exploring it as an like tourist, right? Or like as a human? Like, what would you do here? Like, where do you go? You know? So I was like, you know what? Do it. Explore America. Figure out the other sides of America, because dance is not the world. Is not. You can't say like the dance world is the world. So the people also different, you know. So, and then I spent some more time so I met more with friends outside too. Like we walked outside, you know, and distance was 6 feet, of course. So, and then I added on different skills. So 3 months before COVID hit already, I started to explore another skill because I had like more passions as a child. And I was like, well, it's time to add other things on and not just dancing. So in the last 25 years, it's been only dancing, just letting you know. So I started to do some little crafty things instead of like polishing rocks and crystals. So yeah, I turned out to be pretty good in it, and then bought some machines in this COVID time and submitted for unemployment. Luckily to that, I still can be here. And yeah, the dance is still there, but it doesn't push me or pull me in front of the TV and the screen. So I'm not a social media person. I really come from back of the stage person. And I see now more and more how it affects me. Not being I want to be in front of a social media, or I need to post something, or I want to be in the media in order to, but and the sad part on it is when I then posted something after a couple months, people were like, oh, where were you? I missed you. And I was like, I was here the whole time. I was always here. But if we don't go outside no more, we can't connect with each other. We can't see that we're there. There was also a positive thing because a lot of dancers started to be outside in the park and train there and being distanced with each other. So now I keep running into my friends because everyone wanted to be outside a little bit. But we get to meet each other now and we get to know each other more. I have a little garden out here that I paid more attention and was happy. I wasn't traveling for 1-2 months and then came back and my plants were all the way down. So I enjoy the gardening and the little things, and I'm trying to see the resources I have around me instead of should I be here or should I be in Germany or should I be in New York? You know, so I love all cities, and every city have their goods and their not their goods. So I was like, I would do the same thing if I would be in Germany. I would do the same thing if I would be in New York. So just be you, just do you, and you will see what comes. So the dancing will always come to me and I will always be with the dancing. But what else is there, you know? So explore other things. And that's what I did. So.
Oh, this is so good. I also had a conversation with a squirrel for a while. It was amazing. It was really profound. And it was just, yeah, it was a good like probably, 45 minutes to an hour, just me and that squirrel. And you can, learn so much and gain inspiration for movement and life. Other than that, I can't even remember what the question was. Oh, how our creativity has changed or modified during this time. Yeah, I mean, my reaction to the lockdown and COVID was definitely to go into like a complete manic mania mode, which you probably how this ended up happening. Just like we have to keep going. We have to create. We have to, do virtual classes. We have to. I don't even know. I don't think it was logical at all. It was just totally like, yeah. So, I don't know. I guess I kind of operate. Sometimes I operate best in like triaging, or like I think I would be good in the ER or whatnot, of just kind of handling just meeting the moment and just saying, what do we need to do right now? Because I think that, you know, this is what connects us to our humanity. And, you know, everybody in this room, in this Zoom, and anyone who's watching, you know, it's, you know, yeah, you're coming to terms and face to face with yourself and what it is that you need to do, right? Like, despite all odds. And so, yeah, this is what I've been doing, and I don't know what will come after, you know, what's next. I don't know. I would love to, I think now there's more of, you know, drive-in dance events and arts events happening and people creating outside and things like that. So, you know, it's just there, you know, there's always a way. And so I think, you know, we're all navigating together, like a day at a time, as what's been said. So yeah, that's all.
Thanks though. Wow, there's so many directions that I want to take in conversation with you all. Like, I would love to hear more about the way that, like, the role of like social media in artistry, that's like feels really juicy to me, just like the urge to be off it and then the urge to be on it and the tension that's always there in that sense, and like knowing more about all of your just like these, what are your practices of creativity, and it sounds like everyone has kind of stepped outside of their own box in a lot of ways during this time, whether that means like doing non-dance related things or just like really different things with dance. So I would love to have more fireside chats, and I think if we do stream the film again, we could like just come up with a whole set of questions, because it's like there's just a lot of collective wisdom, and for myself as an artist, I feel inspired just to like start to just get back into my creative practice, because I just kind of abandoned a lot of that. Just sometimes the balance between like creating and teaching, like teaching can really take over for me at times. So I'm feeling super inspired just hearing you all talk about your work. And I think we are gonna head in the direction of wrapping, but I just wanted to open it up one more time if there was any questions that came through in the stream, or if any of the artists have anything they wanted to add or anything that came up as they were listening to other people talk. Just open it up for a little bit.
Well, I want to thank Zoe for doing this, because I think it was a very good beginning to the lockdown. It was really pushed us to do something. It pushed us to get going, and I met all of these incredible people. It was really lovely. It was really good. It was really good. Thank you. And I know it was a lot more work on your part than ours. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone.
Yeah.
Congrats, everyone. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yes. Until we meet at Ailey. And I'm just gonna pass it back to Dom, because Dom is going to just give us some little bit of closeout reminders about what's next.
What's next? No, thank you everybody again for coming and supporting. It's true. I mean, listening to everybody's stories, experiences through this is wonderful. I'm pretty much an audience member like everybody else. I remember when this first happened, because we also had a group from the UK coming, about 30 people. So we had two different shows that were supposed to happen on the same day, a show A and a show B. So it was really sad, because there was a lot of young dancers that were having this opportunity as well, and it got canceled for them. But, you know, we adapted as quickly as possible. And when Zoe said, you know, hey, we're going to make it into a film, I was like, sure, okay. And I remember like sitting in this meeting and everybody's talking and it's like I'm hearing static. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, to come out on the other end of it, I'm extremely grateful. And as an artist too, sometimes I get so wrapped up in the process of creating or producing things or making sure everything is in the right place at the right time, and that it becomes so regimented, and I lose, yeah, the why do I do this? So these kind of moments are a fine reminder as to why, and that it's great sometimes to just be in the moment. So yeah, we all slowed down and something great came out of it. And we actually, during this time, have started looking at creating an artist residency here in the Bronx, and more support for artists, and more possibilities for everyone to create. And so, yeah, stay in touch. You can always donate and support Piz Arts. Like, even it doesn't have to be an event. You can go to our website, www.pizarts.com. And down at the bottom, you can always donate. All of these proceeds are going to go to supporting these artists. So please tell other people, because we'll have it up for 24 hours. And so we'll do the same, as you can purchase tickets at the same place on Eventbrite. And yeah, just keep supporting and sharing. Also, a note for social media: I'm not a big fan of social media. I like to live with people in front of me, climb trees, like ride bikes, things like that. I'm super old school when it comes to that. But if you are going to be on social media, it's great that you like things, but the easiest and freest way to support people is share it. Share other people's content. Like, share it so other people who would otherwise not see it can see it. Like, I don't know most of these artists until this moment. And that's because Zoe took the time to share us with one another, to bring us together to do this. And now we were able to share with you, our audience. And now you know a little bit more about other artists. So share, share, share. Liking is just not enough to financially support artists. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this.
And we had one last comment from, hi, Diana. Diana says, please stream this again so we can let others know how good this work is that you all are doing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here, Diana. And I recommend that everybody should dance before they go to bed tonight. I'm going to. I need to. So thank you, artists, for sharing your gifts, your inspiration. You are necessary. We need you, and we need your work.
You too. Thank you guys